Is it too late to go pro in Fortnite? Is Fortnite one of the hardest games to go pro in? Why does it take so long to improve? Today, I'll be giving you my thoughts on some of my most asked questions, both here on YouTube and over on Twitch. So sit back and let's get into the video. Whether or not it is too late to go pro in Fortnite is the question I get asked the most, and understandably so. The game has been out since 2017, and a lot of the names who are still competing at the highest level played all the way back when the game was brand new. Meaning they have 6 years of competitive experience. The benefits the old pros have is that they know how to play under immense amounts of pressure better than most new players will their first Duo Cash Cup finals, FNCS Surge Weeks, or Console Champions Cup finals. This is because they are comfortable in a highly competitive environment. Additionally, with 6 years of competitive experience comes a lot of game sense. However, one thing we must all understand is that the practice today is remarkably much more effective than practice even just 1 year ago, because the average player is a lot better today than in the past. What this means is that you will get punished for nearly every mistake you make, and when you either get eliminated or take a ton of damage, you will learn from those mistakes. The mistake a lot of players make is being the best player in the lobbies they practice in. If you're playing Arena, Noble Opens, Elite Customs, Manu Scrims, or Noble Div 3, you will most likely be the best player in the lobby. When you are, by a good margin, the best player in your game, the amount of improvement you'll be getting from playing those games will be very minimal. I believe this is why a lot of people think it's impossible to go pro nowadays, because they constantly do exceptionally well in the customs they play, winning multiple games a day. But although customs is a good indicator of how well you will do in tournaments, it's scary to base your placement expectations based on customs you've played where you have always been the best player. So in many ways, I think the reason people believe that it is too late to go pro is because of how difficult it is to play against better players. Later in the video, I'll be going over how you can find better players to practice against for as effective practice as possible. And to simply give you all an answer to the question, no, it is not too late to become a pro. You just need to know how to get the right practice. Every other esport that has been massive like Fortnite has had new names pop up every year. And even Fortnite sees the rise of new stars, not every year, but every season. So now let's talk about the hard part. How do you get into Discords with better players than yourself? Now, I bet a lot of you guys watching are playing NAC. Maybe you're EU, OS, Middle East, it doesn't really matter. But this will be a tiny bit different for every region. However, there will be similarities that you can benefit from by watching this video. What I want you to do is to go into Fortnite Tracker, click on Events, then View Events, and in the top right of each server, you'll see the specified region for that practice Discord. If you have no knowledge of any servers, then just try clicking on the ones in your region and joining the dedicated Discord. Now, a lot of these Discords in themselves are pretty low tier, meaning you'll probably be one of the best in the lobbies you play. But on most of them, you can rank up to play better customs. For instance, in Noble Scrims, you can get top 5 on a dedicated day in Opens. There is a daily leaderboard for people that play scrims, and if you get top 5 on any given day, you'll be invited to something called a Noble Div 3, which is a no zone rule custom server where the players are bad but better than in Opens. And if you win 2 sessions in Div 3, you get into Div 2. Now, Div 2 is where players start getting better, but they're still not at the tippity top. Div 2 has an average level of around 5 to 10,000 PR players. If you have the mentality every single day that you're attempting to play against the better players, you will improve impressively much faster compared to if you just do the same thing you've been doing for the past 12 months. Moving on, I also quickly want to touch on those of you who have very limited custom access because you're on a smaller region. 2v2s with your duo against better players is what you need to be grinding, and the easiest way to find someone good to 2v2 is using Twitter. So if you haven't already made a Twitter account, I strongly recommend doing so for your competitive career. Another thing you can also do to play against better players is going to War Legends and looking at the Tournaments tab. Very often you'll find quals to a tournament where multiple good teams will be playing in the finals. Now, quals in itself is usually not that great, but it's usually an easy qual to finals where you'll actually get some decent practice against some pretty good teams. With these tips, if you actually grind, you will see improvements, and over a short period of time. It isn't necessarily the most fun things to do, but if you're actually looking to get good, you have to constantly be looking for the best possible challenge to play against. That will be all for today. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. Really appreciate you, and I'll see you all very, very soon.